Hello everybody, I'm Alfred, and the video you're about to watch is the trailer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This is apparently a series. Let's check it out from Paramount, available on Paramount Plus.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt.
For those of you who remember Beam Me Up Scott, he just teleported and appeared in the middle of an argument. Apparently a court argument or some kind of settling of a, feud or disagreements.
This is your captain? Our mission. To chart the stars. Push the boundaries of what is known. And what is possible.
I'm standing on the surface of a comet.
I love this job.
These people, this crew, I believe we can do anything.
You want to seek out new life. Go where the aliens are.
They're actually taking a lot of stuff from the original and trying to give new interpretations and all of that, but in as much as this is nostalgic for those who are acquainted with the original, many of whom are actually old and are fathers or grandfathers right now, you have to think about the younger audiences and also what works now and what will really be exciting. I've not seen anything exciting. I would say I won't give out too much ideas on how to change it, but when you're doing a remake, there are a lot of things to consider. There are the things about the original that you have to be faithful to, that it is an unwritten law. You have to be faithful to certain things in the original. Then you have to also know what made the original hits with the audiences. What do people really like that you are going to transcribe? Then also you have to hit people with a lot of new stuff, but do not hit them with new and fresh stuff that they reject. So you have to understand your audience, but as you are creating new stuff and bringing new perspectives, which is very important. You have to know the audience well, and bring forth something that would, they would like and they would love and they would not reject or say, this is not true to it and all of that, but that is something that you have to keep in mind. And you can perform tests, and this is beyond getting a few people, which never works quite well. When you get a few people to, let's say you make a pilot and then you get a few people from different places to watch it and rate it. That kind of tests, of the market and reception, doesn't always work out well, because in most cases, it has its own validity. There are a lot of times that the people will say it sucks, and eventually if an audience gets it, it will suck. Of course, when you call people who are not in the industry but everyday people from different parts of your target geographic locations, and they have that private screening, as a test for you to see what feedback people give about the pilot, so that you can tell if you will go in that direction or what changes you have to make, very quickly, and how to take things, what people really receive. That being said, you can also do certain things like using another medium, like for example a comic book, and you bring out new ideas, like a Star Trek comic, bring out whatever new thing, so that you will actually do it to gauge and get feedback of audience reception, what they like and what they don't like, what really gets them excited, and the impact that makes. Now that could be done on a small scale, and that is a real world test, because those are the real people, and you are also able to gauge the sales. Oh, this many people among the comic book audience, or buying audience, or reading audience, this many people got it. And it was able to get this many people that were not even into comic books but are into the franchise, and all those kinds of things. So you're able to gauge whether the audience will actually appreciate that direction. You could also do an old-time radio stuff in the form of a podcast, and then just like make it available on a fan site for the franchise, so things like that. So you can really have a real world gauge on a real world audience, and see what people like and don't like. And you must get feedback, you must receive feedback and take it very seriously, and let that feedback guide how you redirect and change and move forward. Because at the end of the day, no matter how great a writer you think you are creating a product for people, and what people want is what people want, and that is what you should give them. If you start a hamburger joint, and you're selling hamburgers, and you have your own way of making hamburgers in the way you like, that is your business. The customer, is the priority. What does the customer want? Does the customer even want burger? And if they want burger, how do they want it made? What kind of burgers do they prefer? You have to look at the customer and not you.
Your presence is blasphemy.
Let's talk about this. Find some comfort.
I think that went well.
Perhaps we should kiss.
That seems logical.
Maybe we don't touch anything else. Just a suggestion.
One thing that should be avoided is repeating the same storyline from the original. Because it then becomes predictable, and everybody sees what will happen. But when you are doing those kinds of things, you should also understand, the concept of not introducing something that the audience will reject. So even those, you have to understand certain things like the journey and the outcome. For example, every movie that is not a tragedy has the outcome that the hero will succeed in the end. So what it's about is the journey. The journey is different, and the journey is actually what engages people and what keeps people at the edge of the seats. Is the journey. So even though certain key things must be transplanted, like if you're making a remake of Romeo and Juliet, you cannot make a remake of Romeo and Juliet where Romeo and Juliet live at the end. They have to die. They both have to die. If you make Romeo and Juliet and both of them do not die, it is no longer Romeo and Juliet. They have to die at the end. So you can change certain things about the journey, or introduce new perspectives, and create certain factors that will change things and all of that. But there are certain key things that that has to be transplanted, depending on the audience. If the audience, that the audience will be angry if you change this and change that. So set those certain key points in the plot, you don't have to change them. But the journey between one part of the plot to another part of the plot can be altered reasonably, keeping in mind what the audience will accept and not accept, since you are doing a remake.
The whole future hangs in the balance. No one can know the future. One can only follow one's instincts. You're the best of Starfleet. Our ability to work together, that's our greatest strength. Let's show them what you got.
There's, I see a lot of room for improvement, a lot of things that could have been done differently. Paramount Plus is very interesting. It's interesting how everybody just went the Netflix route. When Netflix started doing what it was doing, a lot of people looked at it a certain way, but now all the major studios are now, they pulled out their own movies from Netflix, and they are now doing their own thing. There is Paramount Plus, there's Disney Plus, there's all these guys, of course, Amazon with his Prime and all of these guys, But keep in mind that the first person to start this was actually a Christian, with PureFlix. I believe it's the same guy who owns christianbook.com, So he started online stream, but of course, it's because he's creating a very niche thing, Christian content, Christian movies, and the big TV stations and all of that, and the networks. He could not find a space for his own Christian TV channel, even though there are Christian TV channels, but he couldn't find a space for a Christian movie channel and all of that. So I'm guessing that is the major reason why PureFlix actually launched just Christian movies. But as he did that later on, Netflix now launched. But the first person to do it was a Christian with PureFlix. That being said, if you are watching this and you like to be a part of, taking over the entertainment industry with the gospel, reach out to us on Alfred or VIP. We are looking forward to hearing from you. Now, if you want to start your own movie studio, just start, take the first step, that's how it goes, When you take the first step of faith, you'll see that you can take a second and a third and a fourth, that's how it goes. And if you're a pastor watching this, know that your drama department, that is your movie studio, register, a separate company, you should, because the world has changed. So you cannot effectively change the world as a ministry, as just somebody who owns a non-profit. That's the reality. For it to make big impact, you also have to have like a book publishing company. You cannot rely on the book publishing companies of the houses of the world or several Christian publishers. What if God has a message for you and that you should put out there, and these publishers say, no, we do not approve, or we do not believe this, or we are not going to publish this, like is the case with a lot of publishers. What are you going to do, and your book publishing company of your church has to be registered not under the non-profit. Otherwise, that is now a questionable act, that should be illegal, that is not a good thing to do. So you can have, a business, register also a business, and you let the church know, you let the audience know, and let them know the purpose, so that you can have space for, let's say you want to start your own TV channel for your church, your own church ministry and TV channel. Let's say the name of your church is Calvary, so like Calvary TV, how is it going to be registered as a non-profit? It is not wise, and a lot of times when you look at TBN, a lot of the problems, why TBN is not as big as Disney. TBN could have been bigger than Disney if it went the profit route, but it goes the non-profit route. So rather, all it gathers is criticism from getting donations. Oh, it's always getting donations and all of that, so TBN gets criticism for, receiving donations, but, that's because of its business model. If TBN used a separate business model and was showing ads for Coca-Cola and all of that, or, working out different deals with those who want to show programs on their show, which they still do, but, it's from donations. Like when you see, let's say you watch a Bishop T.D. Jakes on TBN. Bishop T.D. Jakes pays money, him and his church pays money to TBN to get that airtime. But Bishop T.D. Jakes is getting the money that he's going to pass on to TBN from his own, from contributions to his own Potter's, army, or Jacob's or Joseph's army, or he has his own thing and groups where people give money to his church, and also I think it's Aaron's army or something of that sort. There's something, not just people giving. But there's a special group, where people give, But that being said, that model is in a position where it will never be big enough to compete with the Paramounts and with the Disneys. And Disney has its own message. I just told you about, in a different video, I talked about how one of the heads of Disney, just made an announcement that they are going to make sure that over 50% of their lead characters. This is a company that makes content for kids. They're going to make sure that over 50% of their lead characters are LGBT. So they are going to force it. You know, this has nothing to do with entertainment or being or trying to create, you know, stuff. You know, when I tell people about creating Christian content, I know what I'm doing, because the devil and his people are intentionally forcing demonic content and forcing people to write demonic stories. If you go to Hollywood as a writer, you know, they'll want you, you know, you eventually, you know, you submit a script and they will have other writers to rewrite and rewrite, and at the end of the day, you have something very secular, you know, and something that fits to that company's model, you know, and that company's brand of what they want to put out, which is often they are branding themselves in a type of ungodly message. Oh, we show overtly sexual messages in this manner for this target audience, you know, so, or we show action mixed with sexually explicit messages and all those kinds of things. You know, they have their own brands that the companies, you know, will always want to put out, because they have their mission statement and all of that, you know. So that is why it's important for Christians, you understand this aspect, you know. And it's not just entertainment. We must go into entertainment, education, politics, you know, different, you know, religions, and, you know, basically all the world. Go into all the world and preach the gospel. Every aspect of society we must influence. We must influence the culture, you know, and not just influence, but shape and control the culture. For those of you who think that what I'm saying is bad, the devil and his people are already controlling the culture, and there are other groups of people who are also ungodly that all they do is fight to control culture. All they do is fight to control politics. All they do is fight to control banks, and they have ungodly and nefarious desires and plans for the people and for the world. And that is a fact. You can see that with Bill Gates. You can see that with the New World Order folks. You can see that with the World Economic Forum. You can see that with the Rockefeller Foundation. You can see that with the Council of Foreign Relations. You can see that with the Bilderberg Group. So many of all these organizations, many of whom have a lot of money. So, you know, that being said, if you are watching this, you have to be a part of, you know, pushing the gospel out there. And if you've not given your life to Christ, make sure that you go to Alfred.VIP, click the salvation prayer link in the main menu, and do at the page you come out as the prayer of salvation. So that prayer telling God you want to become a Christian and begin your walk with God. Thank you. God bless you. You know, so, and also remember what I said to the pastors: register a company, you know, let the church board, let them know what you are doing. Then under that company, you have a movie company from the drama department, a music company for the choir, you know, and, you know, book company for the pastors and deacons. So anyone that wants to write the book, of course, they will be vetted. The content will be vetted by the leadership, you know, the senior pastor, whichever pastor is in charge, you know. As a matter of fact, open it up to the congregation. You know, if any of the members of the congregation wants to write a book, let them have free access to publish and to sell the book. Let the book be sold, and they get their profits and their royalties and all that. Make everything fair, you know. So let there be more Christian content created and put out there. Thank you, and God bless you.